Good morning, everyone. I think I'm going to call this Setting a Dangerous Precedent because I've been doing some research and listening to some things and watching some things over the last, few hours. Just couldn't sleep anymore. It's so crazy. It's so warm during the day and so cold at night. So I forgot to turn the heat on. So I had to get up and turn the heat on so I didn't freeze to death. Just crazy weather. You don't know whether you're coming or going, what it's going to be from day to day. Warm during the day, cold during the night. I mean, that kind of makes sense, but you don't expect it to be like 40 degrees colder. Just crazy, man. I know everybody's dealing with this, but it's like, how do you even dress from day to day? What do you even do from day to day? Anyway, little light humor to start this thing out because this isn't funny. It's not funny, but before I get into, the meat of the message, setting a dangerous precedent, I got quite a few things on my mind here. Uh, Hank from God's Soldiers Watchmen, contacted me and I told him about something else. I told him, I said, yeah, I was going to watch your video, your live stream you did yesterday about the new Indiana law because I had no idea what he was talking about. And I didn't have a chance. I'm on the road a lot now, and I didn't have a chance to look at too much, So I do it when I get off the road or whatever, listening and looking at things and so forth. So when I had the chance, I looked at this thing, and oh man, this is just terrible. But what can we expect? I mean, really, what can you expect? I mean, because the so-called red states or whatever, uh, they're just as bad, okay? I mean, in Indiana, of all places, which I would have always considered a pretty conservative state overall, with when it comes to laws and the lawmakers and whatnot, they basically want to arrest homeless people, just get them all off the street, you know, just just get rid of them. That's it. Just we can't have these people. They're an eyesore in our city, and they're just causing too many problems, and it's just horrible. Check out God's Soldiers Watchmen YouTube channel, and I shared it to the post as well, and listen to what Hank has to say about this new law in Indiana. That it's just horrible. People's love has grown cold. They just don't care at all. So because they're an eyesore, or because certain lawmakers or residents think that they cause too much of an issue or a problem, well, we'll just get rid of them. We'll just arrest them or send them somewhere else. Whatever they're gonna do, I have no idea. It's just crazy. Where I've heard some reports and I've listened to some things that quite a few people now who are technically considered homeless, it's not that they don't work or don't want to work or they're lazy bums or whatever, like a lot of people, social media influencers or whatever. Man, if the internet ever goes down, boy, they're going to have to, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're gonna do if they can't get their channel to work or whatever it is, and they just totally relying on being a social media influencer and on donations from others. I have no idea what these people are gonna do because they're not used to doing anything. They're not used to working. They're not used to doing anything productive or meaningful. But anyway, I don't put homeless people in this category. I really don't. A lot of them because they've fallen on hard times, man. I mean, the stuff I'm learning about and the stuff I've heard about, mortgage rates are up to 7.5% now. Who can afford to live? I mean, in Knoxville, Tennessee alone, if you listen to the Patriot Nurse, rent is so high that people can't afford to live because she lives in that area. And, I don't agree with everything she says, but quite a few things. And she was just talking about the cost of living increases in eastern Tennessee and I'm sure it's the same thing everywhere else too. You can barely afford to live. So people live out of their car before it's repossessed if they don't own it, you know. I mean, it's getting crazier where people can barely afford to live, they can barely afford their rent, they can barely afford the mortgage, they can barely afford to do anything. So what choice or option do they have? I mean, the churches aren't stepping up because most of them are apostate, or like Hank was saying, he can't even street preach certain areas or go to certain prisons or locations because it's all run by certain denominations with a bunch of transgender ligabidiqua pastors, female, male pastors, whatever, doesn't matter, because the state is running things and the apostate church is running things. So real, true followers of Jesus Christ, they get arrested for preaching, like in the UK or whatever, or they're silenced and they're told they can't speak out, they can't say things, they can't go certain places, because they don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear the truth of things. They want to have their ears tickled, and they want to hear that God loves them no matter what, and they can just continue in their lifestyle of sin and do whatever they want, and it's fine, and the Lord's good with that, and and just go about your merry way, right? Well, as far as setting a dangerous precedent goes with all of this, that's exactly what's happening in our government, okay? Whether it's state, local, federal, it doesn't matter. You set a dangerous precedent, and then you wonder why people do the things that they do, all right? Because look at the example that is being set, all right? And, I'll get to our federal government in a second here, okay? But you hear about all of these state legislators, or, even local government or whatever else, and all these people doing horrendous, horrific things and basically getting a slap on the wrist. And then you expect the citizens to step in line. It's like, oh, well, you're just a regular Joe Schmo, nobody citizen, so, you got to toe the line, all right? But this guy or this girl or whatever, this man, this woman, because of their position and because they've been elected to certain office or selected or whatever else, then, they're above the law. They don't have to follow the laws. They make the laws, but they sure as heck don't have to follow them. So they get a slap on the wrist if they mess up, right? So here's what's going on. This I found very intriguing, okay? I mean, very, very interesting, all right? I'm starting to think that the nation is starting to look like the show 24, which is probably like 10 to 20 years ahead of its time, okay? The television show 24. Because there are leaks everywhere. There are protests everywhere. There are rallies everywhere. And I'm starting to think that, way back from the Dimitri Duduman time frame, talking about, internal revolution, people fighting against the government and so forth. We're seeing little pockets of resistance here and there, like at the Marjorie Taylor Greene rally where people are protesting outside, or the town hall, I guess they called it, and then people getting tased and literally tased, and escorted from the inside for, lashing out, speaking out at the town hall or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting, but that's Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, come on, give me a break, right? She wears a hat, a red hat that says Trump was right about everything. I mean, the woman's an idiot, okay? Like a lot of these people, all right? But on the other side of that, I mean, I'm hearing about how AOC and Bernie Sanders are literally going to what's considered red states, or red cities, and throwing rallies where people are attending these things and they're agreeing with them in what would be so-called Trump country. Places like Idaho, Salt Lake City, Utah, other places like that. I'm like, this can't be real. But I checked into it. It is real. People can research it yourself if you want. It's real. Okay? And I'm just like, and apparently, like, The approval ratings like in the 36% range now as far as MAGA, people that I guess identify as MAGA is down to like 36% now. So everything is falling apart, and it didn't take long. It did. Are we even 100 days in? I don't think so. It didn't even take long for all of this to begin to happen. Sure, there was evidence of it, and there were signs of it before November or whatever. But I mean, since November, since January, really, it has gotten so late January. It's gotten so insane so quickly, where it's just crazy. Where this setting of the dangerous precedent, because I told people before, and it's not because I'm a prophet. It's not because I've got any kind of, oh my goodness, how do I even say it? I don't identify as any of these people on social media with large platforms, doing live streams, doing, having so-called ministries or whatever else, as saying the Lord gave me a dream about this or a vision about this, or this is what Jesus told me when he took me to heaven, or this is what Jesus told me when he escorted me through hell. I don't know about any of that stuff. Okay? I just kind of try to use common sense and logic with certain things. All right? Without getting into all of these things that all of these big name false prophet teachers, whatever, are always talking about and always spouting on their platforms and on their channels or whatever, okay? I just look at it from a logical, common sense standpoint, all right? It's all crumbling. It's all falling apart. And it should be pretty obvious to people now. But they do such a really, really good job of hiding things. And I told people before, there would just be a slap on the wrist, if that. All of these people in so-called leadership positions in our government, they're going to get away with it. Now, their staff won't, and now it's coming out. See, but who set the dangerous precedent? The leadership did. When the leadership is terrible, then how do you expect the subordinates to do what is right? How do you expect them to fall in line when the boss is an idiot? Then they think they can be idiots too. Case in point, Kristi Noem literally came on some platform, okay, and talked about how there's a leak in the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and they're holding people accountable. Reports are they are literally hooking people up to polygraph machines to try to find out where the leaks are, to try to get people from stop leaking information. Okay? Whether it's out to media sources or our enemies or whatever else. People are literally being escorted out of the Pentagon. Dan Caldwell, like Hegseth's right-hand man, apparently leaked information. But what did your boss do? What did these idiots do on the signal chat? What did they do? See? So, and now their subordinates, they figure, well, if the boss can get away with it, I can get away with it. Or maybe they were just traitors all along, or I don't know. But there's going to be huge investigations. There has to be, because, or at least firings, okay? But not of the main people. No, not them. They all have the golden ring, okay? They all wear the golden pin on their lapel. Not the American flag anymore. Did you hear about that? How they're all wearing the gold-plated face of our leader on their lapels now? Not the American flag. Nope, it's the gold-plated face, okay, of the leader. Not joking. I'm not making this stuff up. Research it. It's all out there, okay? I mean, you just got to look into some things. You just got to take the time if you want to, But I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth. This is what's happening, okay? So they're hooking people up. Reports are they're hooking people up to polygraph machines. They're escorting people out of certain buildings. they're investigating their own people that they hired, and it was like Judge Napolitano and Colonel McGregor. They put out a video, Judge Napolitano and his Judging Freedom YouTube channel, where he was interviewing McGregor, and at the very end, McGregor quoted from someone else. It's just like, hey, when you hire clowns, you're gonna get a circus, right? Well, here we are. We're in a circus. That's the big top world, right? I mean, look at what is happening. Look, and the leaders are getting away with it. They always do. They set the dangerous precedent. Then there's leaks, and then information gets out that shouldn't get out. There's no operational security. All right. Just like I said before, just like other people said before. Jamie Walden even preached a long message on it. Interesting, he didn't mention anything about the signal chat or whatever. He was basically talking about the kingdom of heaven's operational security, that we're all on a need to know basis according to God's plan. It's a very, very good sermon. But he didn't mention anything about the signal chat or anything like that, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I guess he felt like he didn't need to or want to or whatever. But the bottom line is there's no operational security, okay? So the people in charge, okay, got away with it. Nothing happened. No accountability, right? Nobody got fired. Nothing happened, right? But what's happening is the people under them, their right hand, right men, women, they're the ones that are leaking the information, or maybe the people under them. So there's leaks everywhere. It's like a fishing net, it's like a broken faucet. Leak after leak after leak after leak. And it kind of reminded me of 2 weeks ago when Ben Fairclough put out his message, the USS Titanic. Not the HMS, but the USS Titanic, United States ship Titanic. Because we're sinking, we're going down. And according to history, you know what happened? How'd the boat sink? Big old rip in the hull, right? It started leaking. Everything is leaking. It's all falling apart. And the veterans know this, especially combat veterans. They see it. They see it. I've seen it. Other people have seen it. We've seen it for a long time. Whether people want to listen, don't listen, believe it, don't believe it, that's their choice. But the bottom line is, it's all falling apart and it's all leaking. And now if people want to research or they want to take the time and they don't look at, the lamestream news or whatever, but they go a little deeper into things, and if they want to know the truth, it is out there. I know that's the X-Files. The truth is out there, right? But I mean, seriously, it's out there. And like I said before, in this video, or in this, not really video, but you know what I'm saying, in this podcast, this nation's looking like the show 24. You don't know who you can trust. There's a mole everywhere. There's always a threat of an attack. There's always, people constantly compromising themselves, compromising their integrity. The end justifies the means. Just get the job done. You got to skirt the law here, skirt the law there. The law's there, but it's just kind of, when it's convenient, follow it. Other than that, forget it. This is what is happening. Because it's laws for thee and not for me kind of thing, right? That's what we're seeing constantly. You circumvent Congress here, you circumvent the Constitution there. You basically do what you want here, you do what you want there. You make the rules as you go along. You don't like this, executive order here, negate this, negate that, start a new law here through executive order, blah, blah, blah. And it's just chaos. Absolute, total chaos. But the one thing that doesn't change is you and me and everybody else. We're sure as heck going to be held accountable. Try not paying your taxes and see what happens. All right? Try not towing the line and see what happens. Try to go street preach where you can't and see what happens. Try and speak out, against, I don't know, immorality, against, things being, how do I say it? Just things being wrong in general, and see what happens. You can't. You don't have, only certain people have freedom of speech. Only certain people can express themselves. Only certain people can hold other people accountable. You know, I mean, only certain people can do that. Like I said, rules for thee and not for me. That's the mantra. That should be the mantra of this regime. And I know people say, "Oh, you're picking on this administration or whatever else." Blah blah blah. No, man. I expected what we got from the last time around. You got to remember what we were promised this time around. See, people they don't remember anything. They don't remember anything. They don't even remember from the first time around. Do you know how many people got fired the first time around this dude was in office? Constantly. It was like Celebrity Apprentice. This person, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Nobody could stay in this cabinet. Nobody. This time around, everybody stays in the cabinet. You know? Whether they did anything wrong or not. I mean, it's just like, oh, that's okay. You're forgiven. You're forgiven. It's okay. It's all right. It wasn't that big of a deal. No classified information got leaked. It wasn't that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. Everybody stays in the cabinet this time. Everybody got fired last time. What, did everybody forget Operation Warp Speed? Uh-huh. Yeah, I guess so, right? I mean, did people forget all of this stuff? The stuff that we're still dealing with now? It's just like, I guess they just forgot. It's just like, well, no, that was then, this is now. Is it really that much better now? I mean, look at everything that is happening. Everything that is going on continuously. Has the crime rate gotten any better? No. There's still heinous, disgusting, vile, sick, twisted crimes. Kid on kid crimes. Poor kid gets shot in his own driveway just shooting baskets, and killed in Atlanta. I mean, in his own driveway, shooting baskets, minding his own business. I mean, it's insane. The violence, the insanity, the child sex trafficking, the human trafficking, it hasn't stopped. It hasn't gotten any better. Don't take my word for it, folks. Research it yourself. Apparently, there are reports that we're going to start deporting Americans now. So you can't say anything. Don't do anything you shouldn't. You better toe that line, or your butt could wind up in El Salvador. Right? What is it with this El Salvador stuff? Everybody's going to El Salvador. It's like we're just gonna deport anybody. Like I said, don't take my word for this. Research it yourself. Look it up for yourself. I'm not telling you. I'm not lying to you, but check it out yourself. So last thing here, as far as setting the dangerous precedent, like they continually do, okay, and giving people a pass when they majorly mess up, and they put this nation and our troops' lives at risk and everything else, and just kind of give them a slap on the wrist, right? Well, when you start doing stuff like this and nobody holds anybody accountable, and I thought it was very interesting that Al Green, the congressman that was censured during the congressional address a while back, he's actually calling for Trump's impeachment. He stood up on the House floor for 60 minutes calling for his impeachment, and the man made some good points. I mean, I don't know that much about Al Green or whatever. I mean, all I know is I listened to what he had to say, and he made some very, very good points. Now, even if that did happen, which I doubt, but it would have to go through this, even if it passed the House, it would have to go through the Senate, too. That's why Bill Clinton laughed and mocked everybody that impeached him. And that's why, the president now laughed and mocked when he was impeached before, because it wasn't a full impeachment because it didn't go through the Senate. See, it's got to be, that's the only way anybody gets impeached. It's got to go through the Senate as well. And as far as making laws and executive orders or whatever, or breaking laws and doing whatever you want, kind of reminds me, I think, what Nixon said, is like, when the president does it, it's not against the law. Yeah, well, if that's the mindset, and if that's the precedent that's being set, then why should we be surprised to all this stuff that's happening and going on, and worse, okay? Check it out for yourself. Tom Hartman show, okay? Tom Hartman program. Don't know a whole lot about him. Listen to him from time to time. Don't agree with everything the guy says. Not, but this was interesting. Look it up for yourself. I shared it to the post as well. All right. They're talking about the Insurrection Act of 1807. A lot of people say that's a conspiracy theory. Doesn't have anything to do with anything. Well, here's the thing about conspiracy theory nowadays. Wait about 6 weeks and conspiracy theory becomes conspiracy fact. Heck, sometimes it might even be 6 days, or 7 days or whatever. I don't want to put sixes out there, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, just wait a few weeks, a month, a few days, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden that conspiracy theory becomes a fact. And it seems like there's a little truth to just about every conspiracy theory anyway, okay? But the Insurrection Act of 1807, well, this is what's very intriguing and interesting about that. Okay, it's 90 days, I guess, from the inauguration time to April 20th this Sunday, which, on our calendar, we recognize as Resurrection Sunday. It changes every year, okay? But this is the time this year on our calendar, which just happens to be Hitler's birthday, and it happens to be 90 days since the inauguration of, where supposedly Hegseth and I guess it's Nome are supposed to present a report to, the president that on should we declare the Insurrection Act? Are things to the point where we do that? Which basically means lockdowns. Okay? Not saying that's all going to happen this Sunday. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that's when the report is supposed to be due. It just happens to be on Hitler's birthday, the time that we celebrate the resurrection of this year. Just happens to all be the same day, 420 blaze it. Isn't that strange? Isn't it weird? Isn't that, don't people find that just a little bit interesting? You look into the occultism of 420 and everything else. Isn't it strange? I mean, we're supposed to worship and honor the Lord every day, but I understand that that's when it's set this year. It's for that time, and Passover, according to the calendar of this year, is the 12th through the 20th, so we're basically in it now. So I get it. Okay, I mean, this is just when man sets its calendar. I have no idea what God thinks about it, what God's calendar is on this. Probably not ours, though. I kind of doubt it, but that's just where we put it this year, April 20th, right? Well, if they put their report out, and they say, okay, well, what are we going to do about this? Well, what is the Insurrection Act of 1807? Research it. Basically, it means you declare lockdowns, okay? ML, you know what I'm talking about here? Marshall Matt Dillon law, get it? Okay? That's what they would do. That's what they could do. Well, here's the thing about that, okay? What's already happening on our border? Military's in charge of the border, right? Military to the border. Real glad I don't live in a border state about now, okay? I hope other people are too if you don't live in a border state about now, because I think things are about to really heat up on those border states, right? So, but here's the thing. Think about it like this, and I'm going to close this thing out. Think about it like this. What would be easier? To begin to put it into everyone's mind, get into their mindset, and to make them think that they might be locked down because of circumstances, situations that come to the country, and to set that in place, before a major attack on another country, okay, and they get the opportunity to retaliate, or maybe it's a first strike, I don't know, and they retaliate, and then you try to do it. Which is easier, doing it first or waiting until the retaliatory attack or to a foxtrot, or whatever else occurs, and then try to do it? What's easier? Think about that. So if they do that prior to going in to, the Middle East, okay, with Israel's support or backing up Israel or whatever, okay, like I've read one report where the speculation is by the end of April to mid-May, that's when that would happen. So what's easier? Trying to gather everybody up and lock them in cages like animals after the fact? or to do it prior. I don't know what they're going to do, but what's easier? And if you get people used to the idea, and and with the global economy crashing, and people already lining up at stores, I've heard reports of people already lining up at stores doing panic buying, panic shopping, especially for crap made in China. You know that people are afraid they're not going to be able to afford or have available to them. And they're already doing the panic buying. Right? What do you think's going to happen by the end of April, possibly into mid-May? Think about that. So, like I said, they're setting a dangerous precedent. You compromise a little here, you compromise a little there. Next thing you know, you fall into a pit. In our personal lives, you compromise your integrity here, you compromise your integrity there. Next thing you know, you fall into a pit you can't get out. So they're setting a dangerous precedent. And now the employees underneath these so-called leaders in our government are leaking information everywhere because, like I said, well, the boss can do it, I can do it. The boss is an idiot, I can be an idiot. If they can get away with it, I can get away with it. You're not important enough. No, you won't. You got to be important to get away with stuff. If you're just a regular Joe Schmo, you're not going to get away with nothing. So, anyway, that's it for now. Hope y'all have a good and blessed day. I got to start heading out here soon. So, y'all take care, and I'll talk to you some other time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.